blah 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 blah.
Hey guys, welcome back to Canadian Gears. I am here with Jeff Pennock. Thanks for joining me, Jeff. Good to have you. We're going to discuss the segment on Vride TV, which is, as you remember, we were talking to Jeff earlier about the motorcycle accident he had many years ago, which led him into a different career in his life. So now we're going to discuss Vride TV, which is what he's doing now full time. So Jeff, tell me, how did you start this?
Well, as you touched on, after the accident, it was a whole process of learning how to walk again and all that, and then it was learning how to ride again. So everything's a little different, and then from there, building up my endurance for little longer rides. Then I had a relative getting married in Calgary, or in Edmonton, pardon me, so my wife and I rode out there.
Yep.
Great ride, loved it, it was comfortable. And on the way home, I said, I want to ride across Canada. So she says, okay, let's do it. So we came back and just started getting everything into play, and it started off where we're going to get a really nice camera to capture, you know, some still shots along the way and make it memories for us to last. So it went from that to, well, we should get a high definition video camera, and then we'll be able to videotape it, and we'll be able to have these memories forever. And then just before we were preparing to leave, Sony came out with this high definition video camera that wasn't the size of this. It was a nice consumer type size, but still high definition. Bought it, was only in Canada for 2 weeks, mounted it on the handlebars of the bike, and did some test footage around to get the stability good. And once that was all done, we were ready to go.
Now guys, keep in mind, this was done with twist ties at the time, just so you know. Carry on!
And we originally were planning to leave in July, and we had a friend come to stay at the house, and he was going to take care of the dog and the cat and everything and live here while we were gone. That all changed. He gave me a phone call and said, I'm moving to California to be with my fiance. I can't stay at your place anymore. Everything's just changed, right? So understandable. I said, hey, no problem. He says, well, when are you leaving? He says, well, middle of June. I says, well, if we go end of April, can you do it? No problem. Done. We started planning, getting everything ready, which was only like about a 3 week before our departure date.
Yeah.
So we got it all together and started off our way. We started in Catesby, we ended up in Catesby, Newfoundland. We started in Victoria, BC.
So you traveled all across Canada, and when you were doing this, you were taking still pictures, you were getting videos, and you were getting stuff. So you obviously, when you came back home, you figured, you know, you started viewing these videos, and is this where the idea popped in for, you know, for Vride TV?
Well, the concept of it actually came from the people we met along the way. Every time we stopped, whether it was a gas station, restaurant, a point of interest, hotel, people would see the cameras on the bike and say, what is that? Explain it's a high definition video camera. We're filming a ride across Canada. How can we see it was the first question out of everybody's mouth.
Really? So they were curious. They really wanted to see those videos.
When you hear that every day, so many times a day, we realize there's an audience waiting to see this.
And so you started doing this. So obviously you started investing your own money in this. You started off, you went out and you bought a whole bunch of equipment. Like we have some of the equipment here, as you can see, guys. I don't know if maybe if you want to walk through some of the equipment you have here for us. I see here we've got some helmet cams. We got some cameras in a waterproof box. You might know twist ties, as I said, tie wraps. We got all sorts of goodies here. You've got handheld cams and all that. So maybe start off with this guy. Work your way here and let us know what you have.
For sure, we use all Sony equipment. This is the HDR CX700V, which is a long name for a really awesome camera in a small package.
Okay.
The next step up from those are those shoulder ones you see on.
Oh, those big guys.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we use primarily for our tripod work, setup shots, and you know when you see us come by and stuff like this. This one here with the light. This is more of a handheld one for low shots.
Yes.
Got a boom mic on it as well. Wide angle lens. We protect all our stuff with ordinary waterproof bags. You don't have to worry about water getting in or anything like that. Throw them in there.
Yeah.
All of our gear is set up. Another one, we got a waterproof case with a camera in it that's it's not always sunshine and blue
Yeah,
skies on a motorcycle,
that's true.
right? So we got our gear in there too. And on my Schubert helmet, we've got a Sony Professional POV camera. And when those actually came out, this is about 4 years ago, I think, we were one of 10 people to have them in Canada.
Really?
Yeah, high-end camera, and
Really?
the shot that it gives is just...
You get it. Now, being a helmet cam, I guess it must have some sort of image stabilization, right? Because there's you get a lot of head buffeting going on and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah, they do have image stabilizer in there.
Okay.
And being sitting in the middle of the bike, as you know, as a rider, you're in the best spot for the suspension. So your body is kind of like the big shock absorber for the camera.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, when you're wearing this helmet with this camera, is it catching any more air than usual? Are you feeling a little bit of drag on it? Is there anything different, or is it just there?
There could be a very minute bit, but definitely don't notice it.
Really?
And Schubert actually makes the quietest camera, or pardon me, the quietest helmet.
Helmets, really?
Yeah.
These are the quietest helmets.
They are. They've done extensive researching in wind tunnels, and Schubert makes dynamite stuff.
Well, you see, folks, we're learning a lot of stuff here about what goes on here at Vride TV. Now, you have to carry all this equipment with you when you go. Like, all of this comes with you, right?
Absolutely.
We can travel around.
We pack all of this and more.
Wow. We'll be right back, and we're going to discuss the motorcycle itself and some of the adventures that this guy has had there along the trails, okay? Stay with us.
This is a story of a man who wanted a new 1957 car. He did a lot of looking, a lot of thinking, a lot of comparing. But his final choice was surprisingly easy. For one car had everything. Fresh new beauty, from its new front design to its high-fashion taillights. And it was the only low-price car with the fine craftsmanship of Buddy by Fisher. Yes, you're right as rain. He bought a new 57 Chevrolet. And no wonder. In 57, there's nothing like a Chevy but a Chevy. In new styling that instantly appeals to your eye, and in newest performance features, Chevrolet brings you 5 great high-performance engines with the eager kind of power that lets you know you're the boss. And Chevy also offers 5 smooth transmissions, the greatest choice in the low-priced field. So drive happily ever after. Get the car that puts the purr in performance, the 57 Chevy, at your authorized Chevrolet dealers.
Hey guys, we're back with Horace here with the 57 Belair ragtop. We're going to go through some of the tech specs on this car and some of the features this car had that a lot of the other 57s don't. And you know, as Horace was saying here, he drives this car. This car is not a princess, it's not a trailer princess, it actually gets driven around, and he's got quite the story with this thing already, and this is why we like to bring you the locals. So tell me, Horace, what's the engine that's in this car? What size of engine is this?
It's a stock 57 283 with a 2-barrel carburetor, and the transmission behind it is a stock 3-speed factory overdrive transmission.
And it's a manual column shift.
It's a manual column shift transmission.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Now, we were discussing the overdrive on this thing where we'll show you the lever. There's a lever underneath that he has to pull to get in the overdrive. But you were also mentioning how it has a sort of a simulated passing gear, which was electronically triggered, mechanically electronically triggered.
Right.
If you can explain that to us.
Yes. When you're driving the car in third gear, you have a lever underneath the dash. You pull the lever, and it engages the overdrive. It's a set of planetary gears that are on the end of the stock 3-speed transmission. Now, when you're driving along, there is also a switch. I'll take maybe for better view for the viewers. I'll take this air cleaner off, and so everybody can see it a little better.
Now, you folks are going to notice the air breather that's in here is the stock oil-soaked breathers, not the dry paper filters that we get today. Back then, they were using these different type filters, and just to show you the originality of this car. Now, here's a shot of the carburetor here, and the Horace is going to explain what's going on.
Okay, on the throttle lever on the carburetor, there's a little valve, a little lever mounted, and on the base of the carburetor is a switch. So when you're in overdrive and you're driving along, you want to pass somebody, you give it 3/4 throttle, it closes that switch, energizes the relay, and the relay powers up a solenoid which is mounted to the side of the overdrive transmission, and that solenoid, when it's energized, it pulls the transmission out of overdrive.
So it's a temporary pull for the time
it's
being.
momentarily. As long as you kept your foot on the throttle, it'll keep that solenoid disengaged, and once you let off the throttle, the solenoid just...
So you didn't have to manipulate the overdrive on your own. This was like an automatic disengagement,
exactly.
sort of a passing gear.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So this engine has not been restored. This is an original factory engine.
Yeah.
It hasn't been bored out or anything like that.
No.
And you say you've been driving this thing all over the place.
All over. We've been to Florida with it, to Hot August Nights a couple times, California. My kids grew up in it. My wife and I enjoyed this very, very much, and yeah.
Very much, eh?
Yeah.
we're gonna move on to these very much parts, because one of the features that I noticed on this car, if we step over this way, was the I noticed over here this what looks to be a police searchlight. But Horace here tells me that this was a factory add-on. Now, can you explain exactly what this is for us?
Yes, this was a factory option. There were over I believe 60 options available for these cars back in the day, and this is just one of them. It's a spotlight and it's a mirror, and it's controlled from inside the car with a switch here. I don't know if we get power to it there or not. Yeah,
it's on.
And you can rotate the handle. You can rotate the light 360 degrees.
So this is like a cop searchlight.
This is, yeah.
But there was a specific name for these lights.
Well, yeah. They were called deer hunters, and when we went deer hunting, checking the girls out on the street, a little closer on a dark evening, But or checking for house numbers and things like that.
Things like that. Also, the deer hunting, I think there's a relation to back in the day when these cars were so big, you can go out and do some parking. For those of you who remember that in these big cars, I'm sure that's there was a good use for these lights. Now, the body's all original right now. It's been it's been through a lot, as you can see. You drive this thing, you really do. Another thing I noticed is when we open the door, something I have not seen myself in a very long time, and I'm not that old. So you look at the badge down here where it says Body by Fisher. Fisher used to make the bodies for all GM vehicles up until the 80s. Now, it's incredible what this car has. Now, you have in there, you've got the power brake. You said you've also added a power steering.
Yeah, factory power steering, which is kind of hard to, an option that's kind of hard to find these days. They were kind of troublesome, but do you want to have a look at the power steering?
Sure, absolutely. Let's do that.
What we have here is we have the power steering pump, which is bolted to the back of the original generator. And the shaft extends out into the pump, which drives the generator. So as soon as you, which drives the power steering pump. As soon as you start the engine, the belt drives the generator, which in turn drives the power steering pump.
Ah, very nice. So
now,
it's a two-piece. Yeah, I see that. Okay.
Now we have the lines going down to the steering linkage, and in the steering linkage is a hydraulic cylinder.
Okay.
With a control valve on it, and so the control valve determines which direction you want to steer. Okay. Turn a little right, pressure opens the port to the right, and allows oil flow, and so on and so forth.
Very nice. Hey guys, we're gonna head out right now, but we're gonna have a different look at this '57 Chevy when we come right back. Hey guys, we're back. We've got the clutch cover on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this lock nut back in here for the clutch. Now you just throw it in, and we turn this, and we go all the way in until it reaches the bottom. Okay, and then we'll touch now. So what we'll do is, it's a little loose, so what we can now do is we can now put back all the bolts we have over here in the order that we took them off. and then we'll be able to tighten this up and readjust the clutch. And we're also going to adjust the chain. Now the primary chain here, I have about a 1/2 inch of play. I sort of had to pre-adjust it because of where they put the kickstand on this custom bike. There's almost no way of getting under to the adjuster. So this is how we had to accommodate this guy. So now we got all the bolts in there, and we're going to continue putting the bolts in, and we'll get the everything tightened up and adjusted as soon as we get everything here tightened up. Hey there, we're back. As you see, we were tightening the cover there. Now remember, when you're putting your bolts on, you want to tighten them in sequence. So you start from here, go to there, do it a crisscross pattern as much as you can as possible until they're all tight. Now what we're going to do is we have the clutch adjustment over here. So what we have to do is turn this guy in the middle, turn this screw counterclockwise until it stops. And you'll see the cable will get pulled back, which is normal. It's now going to take up the slack on the cable. And as soon as it stops, you want to go back about 1/4 to maximum 3/4 of a turn. So right now we got our line down here, so we're going to bring it back to right about here. And then we'll get someone up there to actuate the clutch for us, and we'll make sure that the mechanism is working. And look at that, it's looking good. We're going to put our derby cover back on. We got our seal to go back over here and put this back on. Now we have the 1/2 inch play in our chain, which we adjusted from underneath, so the chain is good to go. We're going to put some oil in there too. And then after that, well, she's good to go. So let's get some oil in there. And she's good to go, and then it's pretty much simple. There you go, everything's said and done. And we'll, once we do more work on this, we'll fire it up for you on camera, all right? Have a good one. Hey guys, now we're at the performance part of the Trev Deeley motorcycles. In here, what you see is the dynameter. This is what they use when they put the bikes up here and they do performance tuning on them. Whenever they change the exhaust systems or the PCM or anything that gets added to the bike, these guys can tweak this bike to run absolutely at its best, at its top performance. Very expensive machine. Again, it is a fantastic service that you don't find elsewhere. But this is just absolutely amazing. We got in here, we were able to see this. We won't see it in action today, but we can post some videos of some of these videos of some of these dynos in action. But enjoy this. If you're looking to buy a motorcycle, specifically Harley, this is the place to be. If you look around over here, you'll see a sea of motorcycles. Every model of Harley you can be looking for, from Sportsters to Street to V-Rods to Dynas. Everything's in here, guys. Trev Deeley is the place, the premier dealer here in Canada for Harley Davidson. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you later.